I'm Jeremiah Boucher, a commercial real estate investor with over 20 years experience. This show is designed to help you build your business, become a better real estate investor, and help you see opportunities that will keep you ahead of the competition. This is Finding Your Edge. Here we go, Finding Your Edge. This is Jeremiah Boucher, and on this show, I talk about mindset, strategy, investing, mostly commercial real estate investing, and just philosophy in the psychology around growth, improvement, business, and just navigating through life. On my way back from Boston, I'm in New York right now at a quick charity event tonight, the one I support, called Sprouts, which helps people who are on the streets or youth that don't have a skill or a trade. And then these Michelin star restaurants, chefs, pick them up and they employ them, put them in their program, teach them skills, teach them how to be accountable, teach them character, teach them to work hard and show up and be dependable. And in turn, I support that. Well, I just flew from Boston to New York, and I'm in the city here in the Lower East Side. I love New York in bite-sized pieces, but back to the office tomorrow. And I have a lot of things to go over here. So I spoke at a conference 2 weeks ago in Orlando, and it was Bridger Pennington. It's called Fund Launch, and it teaches people how to open up a fund and the different structures of funds and how to raise capital, allocate that capital, and how to structurally build a fund and maintain it. I talked about making connections with investors, and I listened to my buddy Ben Hardy, and Ben wrote this book 10X, and I kind of started to understand it a little bit better in the sense of if you set a vision or goal so far from where you're at, you have to change the way you think in order to even obtain that goal or have the chance of obtaining it. So I think that 10X philosophy can be toxic, at least in the Grant Cardone world, which, I think Grant's not a bad guy. I don't know him, but I'm just saying that philosophy where it's like business porn, where bigger, 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 better. It's all about growth, and it's not. It's about getting rich and staying rich in great companies or great investments. It's about profitability. So it doesn't matter how big you are. If you're extremely profitable, you will be rich and stay rich. And a lot of companies, and even myself, in the pursuit of growth, can burn the whole damn thing down or risk losing everything you got because you just have this mentality that this growth mindset is exactly what you need to do. And that's the gauge, that's the measurement of success. It's wrong. It's completely wrong. I'm still getting my head wrapped around, using visualization and having that time to process, what do I really want to build the company to, or what do I want this project to look like, or what do I want my life to look like? I think there's a lot of power in that. And, I'm a huge Arnold Schwarzenegger fan. I grew up idolizing him big time. I was into bodybuilding and I love his story, and who doesn't, right? Any person that is entrepreneurial and just pursuing big dreams and into fitness and health, he is the idol. And he always had a super clear vision, and he knew he was going to do these huge things, and he did. And that's phenomenal. And that drives me. For myself, a mere mortal, I found that setting smaller obtainable goals and then building upon that was critical. And I think there's something to that. Like, I understand there's these outlier stories of Arnold, and they can inspire us, and there's merit to it. But for me, like, learning a new skill or craft, like when I was taking Bikram yoga and I pushed myself, and I'm like, I got to get more flexible. I got to push harder. Boom, I broke. You get injured. Or learning fighting, and if I gotta compete, I gotta be a better fighter, I gotta learn all these different styles of jiu-jitsu and wrestling and kickboxing and boxing, and then I gotta push harder at sparring. Boom, get my ass knocked out. So I'm pushing too hard too fast can set you back even farther than where you were if you just take sustainable, consistent progress. And with business, it's exactly that way. So in business, going out and buying a $50 million deal apartment complex and leveraging it to the hilt, 90% leveraged, and you've got floating debt at 3%, and you raised all this capital. It's the first time you ever did it. You don't even know how to manage apartments or build apartments or rehab apartments, market apartments. You don't know anything, and you might have succeeded for a while. And we're seing now that those are falling apart. I mean, interest rates are double of what they were 3 years ago or 2 years ago. And now those loans are coming due. And these people are in major problems doing capital calls, and these investments are going to fail. And this is just the beginning of the iceberg. But I understand. And those guys were thinking big. That's great. But sticking to the fundamentals, sticking to profitability, not size, sticking to whatever that thesis is, like diversified streams of income for me, mobile home communities, lots of tenants that serve the masses, warehousing or storage, storage, lots of customers, small warehouses, lots of customers. And you got to still be dialed in. That doesn't mean you're going to succeed. It just means that taking calculated risks and then incrementally building and growing and getting those reps in so you can push even more and get closer to that huge vision. But bringing it back to the fundamentals and then sticking to them and not beating ourselves up that we're not doing enough. All we can do is focus on one thing at a time, one problem at a time, one challenge at a time, one opportunity at a time. And it's just segmenting these things. And this helps me as I've scaled and having 100 different properties, and a lot of them are good, some of them aren't good, working through every single project and leading the team and deciding and having a vision for what we do and changing in the moments with the adapting markets, with the adapting economy where tenants or customers don't have as much money as they had before, businesses aren't paying as much rent as before, affordable housing is in even more demand, but rent control is coming and people are tight and they can't pay, extremely high rents, construction costs are up. So you gotta pivot. And I love that process. I love the creativity and figuring out, do we phase it? Do we use a different material? Do we build a different product that serves a different type of customer? Do we change our financing? Like, this is the process that's been extremely helpful for me. And as a leader and visionary and entrepreneur, the owner, this is my job. So what I've learned and what I implore you to do is there's two segments of how I think we need to break up our focus. And there's thinking time, which a mentor of mine, Keith Cunningham, who writes amazing business books. He's a great teacher, old school Texas guy, a character. He's hilarious, but he's straight to the point, and he reinforces this idea of thinking time. And this thinking time is about focusing on strategy, focusing on what are the critical drivers and priorities of our business. And this thinking time, for me, it's like I try to get up and I just write a page in my journal because it makes me articulate exactly what I'm thinking, and I can build off the day before. So I can ask myself questions about what was I working on, what's working, what's not working, where do I think my business is going, what investments are working or not working, where should I put my team, my talent, my personal talent and my energy, like all these things. There's a million decisions we can make, and there is so many distractions, and there's so much technology and so much information, and it's amazing. It's an amazing time to be alive. It's exciting, but it's distracting. So this discipline of thinking time is so important. I mean, it can be anything. It can be a white pad, it can be a yellow pad. I mean, anything, just stopping and writing and going through these different categories of our life, these different categories of our business, and saying to ourselves, what am I going to focus on? What are the critical drivers of what are the things that are really important that I need to work on and measure, and then see how those things are evolving. And then what do I do to make a difference and change? Like that is the process of business, or that is the process of being a human being and having consciousness to create, right? To invent, to innovate. You do something, well, you have an idea, and then you a hypothesis, you go out and go try it, you do it, and if you can measure it and see if you did good or did bad, then you can adapt and you can change and you could try something new. But if one, you don't take the time to think about what it is you're trying to achieve or go do, and then two, you don't know how you really did, because there's this bias that just because it worked meant you made a good decision. And Annie Duke, she's a famous poker player, writes this book called Thinking in Bets. And the thesis about this book, like her main point was, just because it worked out doesn't mean you made a good decision. Sometimes in the deck of cards of life, sometimes you luck out where the probability wasn't in your favor, but the market turned in the right time and you succeeded. Or you randomly fell upon an investor and you raised a lot of money, but you weren't fundamentally great at investing or great at raising money or great at managing capital. So what I learned is that sticking to the fundamentals and actually focusing on the vision, and not only the vision, but like what are the critical things that I need to keep doing daily, and strategizing on this time, during this time, and then coming up with this grounded direction of where I'm going to go and where the company's going to go and where we're going to invest, versus the other side of the execution. Like strategy's critical, execution is everything. So there's this other focus time that I delineate off where it's purely execution. And I like this time. I mean, this is doing, this is making the phone calls, this is solving the problems, this is reaction. You're constantly in the weeds, just being resourceful, being tenacious, getting after it, leading the team and solving problems, but that's reactionary. And a lot of times in the past, I found myself just waking up and reacting to all these different situations that occur, because it's inevitable when you're achieving and creating and doing things. There's a lot of problems. But number one, if you're always doing that, putting out fires, you're letting the environment dictate how you think, how you feel. And over time, it's not as fun. You get kind of jaded, you get aggressive, you get short with people, you get kind of angry because you're seeing a problem every time. And if you're the owner of your company, you're the one that you're going to get the problem. I mean, so you got to be careful. Like, there's a time for that, and it's a very valuable time. But that's reaction, and that's a separate. You got to delineate the thinking time and the strategy time separately. And then there's a third focus time. So there's not two, there's three. The other part of my focus time is like this uninterrupted time where this is also taking action and execution, but this is proactive, not reactive. This is offensive moves. So this is learning about new development processes. This is prospecting with my sales team or leading my sales team, going out, finding new opportunities. This is finding ways to add value through management by buying mobile homes or executing and doing whatever it is you do. But these are things that I do, and going in and adjusting our marketing for our warehousing that we're leasing out, or for our storage units there, different marketing and targeting different new customers. Like, this is action, but this is proactive. And if we let the reactive things take us away, which everyone knows this, we've heard it a million times in business books and seminars and YouTube videos, then you're never going to actually be able to move the needle, because you're not doing the things on offense that push the results or your company forward. So to summarize, really it comes down to sustainable growth, not the addiction to growth, not the addiction to big. It's about sustainability and incrementally just building on what you're creating step by step, and taking manageable losses, seeing the landscape, having a vision, knowing, you got to be smart in your industry. You got to provide value in the economy. You have to build or create or offer a product or service better than someone else, or you're not going to survive, because people are not going to pay you. But I'm saying that after you've defined what it is that industry you're going to go into, or the investment you're going into, then this is where we have to have a sustainable model and just pick away at these goals, man, over and over and over. And the great thing is, we decide. Like, it's not the environment that controls us. This is the beauty of this day and age, is we have the ability to choose and create what we want to create. And it's all through our thinking. And I'll get into that. But what I have really been exploring is, I read a book like 15 years ago or so, almost 20 years ago. It's called The Power of Full Engagement by Jim Lohr and this other guy. And they trained a lot of high-level athletes, a lot of tennis players that were famous. They still do, I think. But the athlete schedule is like maximum intensity and then full recovery and engagement. And it's a very structured, segmented process. And then they have maintenance and different nuanced things that they focus on, either game film or like stability or flexibility. So they have this tweaking that's not fully intense, but it's not full rest. It's just adaptation of their weaknesses. But what I'm saying here is in these three different buckets, it's when it's game time, I mean, it's absolute engagement, intensity. And this is what I've looked at with reading a lot of business books recently. Patrick, who writes about the power of teams and the function of teams in a lot of Silicon Valley startup businesses. And the ones that are great have a great culture, a great team, but they have a great meeting cadence and they have a great engagement in their actual meetings. So why am I saying that? Because when it's engage time, like meetings, it's go time. When you're in business, that is where you're prepared, you've done the homework, you've done the strategy, you are clear on the priorities and the initiatives and the obstacles and possible solutions. And you're going in there and you're working with your team and you're leading and you're guiding or you're listening and you have solutions when they're coming up. That's, people think meetings are bullshit. If you're doing that, your company's fucked. Like, everyone has to be engaged in these meetings, and that's go time. So not only meetings, but in your sales calls, your presentations, in the financial analysis, I mean, that's full engagement. But in business, we have this idea like, oh, you got to be in the office, 8 to 12, 6 to 8 hours a day, and you're just under the fluorescent light and you're dragging and you're hurting and you don't stop and you don't have this structured recovery where you get away and you breathe and you drink your water, have a snack, go for a walk, do a little workout, whatever you want to do. That disengagement, that complete recovery, and it gives you the juice to get back right into full engagement. And then also the structured, not fully intense, massive sessions of absolute just depleting your energy. And then you're tweaking, you're doing the focus time, some of the strategy time, like these different times where you are in flow, but you don't have to be so intense. So I don't know, I'm going off because this is off the cuff here, but I think it made a lot of sense to me and it helps me. And sometimes I got to remind myself where there's a power to being fully engaged, but then there's also a huge emphasis in my life now on recovery. And it's getting to bed at the right time, not staying up and watching TV, all that bright light in my eyes. It fucks my whole sleep up. And I check it on my Whoop right here, and I feel it the next day. I can't think as clearly. My REM sleep is down. I don't articulate what I'm saying clearly because I didn't get good sleep, because I stayed up late watching TV. And, forget it. Alcohol is out of the question, for me at least. Or if you do it, being careful and having some recovery around it. But anything that just crushes your recovery, it affects everything. You can't burn the candle on both ends. So taking recovery serious and treating yourself right too, where every workout's not a monster workout where, you're doing the stretching, the sauna, the massage, the yoga, and working through the recovery will put money in the bank. It'll put the investment in where then you can crush it when you are engaged. So that pendulum swings, and it's not just pedal to the metal all the time where you just finally crash and you burn the engine out. I mean, this is common knowledge, but it's the habits and rituals I notice a lot of people don't do. I mean, it's a serious commitment to eat right and take care of yourself, and also find those times to engage in times with your family and your partner, your intimate partner. Like, those things they make you want to be a better person at work. They make you want to push harder when you're out there achieving or going after it. Like, you gotta feed those other areas, and that's a reminder for me. So to tie it all together, when you take the time to write in your journal, you do the thinking time, you really, really just be with yourself. And the investment in yourself is critical, because an important relationship for me in my life has been the relationship with me. And that sounds so stupid, but I tell you, man, like, the time, not only the thinking time, but the little voice in your head that goes and talks, and it's this really subtle. Sometimes you don't even know exactly like what it said. It's just kind of a feeling. And that thing, it never stops, but to slow down and listen, and to really, really being just in tune with it, especially in times that are hard. Like, being honest with yourself and being kind to yourself and really appreciating, like, man, I'm with me. Like, this is the most important relationship of my life, and I want to be brutally honest. Like, this isn't working, or it is working, or I like who I am, or I don't like who I am, but just being real, right? Being real. And for me, this process of writing it down or talking to myself and just expressing it and acknowledging it, not posting it on social media, not trying to get likes for it or acknowledgments. Like, this is a sacred relationship, and this is one I think a lot of people lose, or at least the newer generations. I heard newer generations, like, there's no reason they think to even write in a journal. They don't see the value in it, because if you're not posting it, what's the point? And the point is, you get this sacred time with yourself that you don't have to lie, you don't have to put on a mask, you don't have to be anyone to anything. You'd be real to you and acknowledge, am I happy, am I not, and am I living up to my full potential? And not this whole, hustle porn, business porn, I got to do more and be better at everything. No, it's about, am I the best I can be, and can I get better tomorrow? And I did, acknowledging I did pretty damn good today. I handled this shit, and I stepped up even when things were hard, and I'm figuring out solutions, or I'm proud of myself, and I'm connected. I'm connected with my body. I'm connected with my breath, taking a break. And that's meditation for me, going for a walk, or just being present and listening. Like, if my body's in pain, stop or slow down. If my body's full, don't eat anymore. If I have addictive behavior where I want to, I want to drink, or I want to go out and just escape completely, be mindless, eat tons of junk food, or hang out with shitty people. Like, no, okay, there's something wrong. Like, right now I'm trying to cover something up. And I'm not saying anything's bad. Like, you could drink, you could do drugs, you could go sleep with whoever you want. I'm just saying that, understanding for me, why am I doing it? And I am not a judgment guy. I don't judge anyone for anything. It's your life, your choices. And I love the way my mom taught me how to live. It's you choose your life, and then you get the results. It all shakes out in the end. It's the karmic energy of the universe. You do something, you get a result, and it's up to you. You decided it, you made that choice, and I truly believe that. Now, we all start from different places, different socioeconomic environments, and definitely there's privilege 100%, yet every decision that you make puts you in another position. And then you have to adapt and deal with that position. So if you treat your body like shit, then you think like shit, you feel like shit, then you act like shit, and people don't want to be around you, and they don't like being around you, and then you don't get you don't get any business, you don't get any income. People don't like that. Or you do, but people don't, you don't like being around you, and everything's a grind, and other things suffer, like your relationships. So the whole thing for me is like knowing, okay, I make this decision, I create the environment around me over time, and that's the gift that I get, and I want to treat that with respect, treat my body with respect, treat other people with respect, treat my environment with respect, and then in turn, those things, they're little things, little waves of energy, and it's just because they're decisions. It's not like this, I don't think there's some airy-fairy thing out there that you just wish it and it comes true. No, these are little micro decisions that affect everything around you, and then it ends up changing the whole direction of your life. And accidents do happen, but over time, you can dictate exactly the motion or the momentum that's going to occur, and it's not by chance. It's conscious. It's by choice. Your destiny is up to you. I don't believe anything's made for you except for the genes that you have in your body. That's it. Your true nature inside is what you were born with, and then after that, it's up to you to go manifest it, and that's period. You have absolute control. So make sure you make the right decisions, but do it for you. Take that quiet time, take that thinking time, take that strategy session, and just be with yourself and be honest. And that, I promise you, you will feel better. It might not change anything in the short term, but over time, oh man, it is going to dramatically change your life. And you don't got to go to a seminar. You don't got to go to a therapist. You don't got to watch any YouTube. You don't got to do anything. All you got to do is be with a pen and paper, and you write out how you feel, what you want, where it's going, what's going good, what's going bad. What do you want to change? What do you truly visualize for your life? What do you want to create in your life and your business with the people around you? And then those things will happen, man. It is a magical thing. And I'm going to keep doing it. I mean, I'm going to keep testing it out, and I have faith in, and I don't care how big or small I am. It's just about really listening and understanding that relationship with myself first. That's the one that is most important. Once I nourish that, I can give to everyone else out in the world. I can create and do and be the person I want to be for that person, but I got to take care of me first to help others. And ultimately, I think when everything is going wrong, because those ups and downs, and when the wins can be just as detrimental as the losses, because you get comfortable with the wins and you think you're better than you are. But even when you're down, perspective, right? Perspective is so big. Gratitude, man. I'm so grateful to have my arms, my legs, my skin, my eyes, my mouth. I can feel, taste, touch. I can meet people. I have energy, healthy. Like, that is so important, man. You're free, not in prison, not in a shitty country where they tell you what you have to do, where you do it, what job you have no hope. That's horrible. Like, there's information. There's my friends, like a great group of friends that I've created, my family, the connection with my mom and my dad and the people around me. Like, these things are very, very important. Yet in the competitive business world, sometimes I forget about that. And I remember when I go out alone, if I go hiking for a couple days on my own and I don't talk to anybody, I remember how important it is to have that close interaction and connection with people. And I'm a very kind of stubborn, secluded guy. I don't like to go hang out too much, but when I do, I do realize how much of a gift it is and how grateful I am to have people in my life and to be able to have so much opportunity. And there's so much to focus on that's negative. When we're in that problem solving mode or that reaction mode, and you look at politics and with the elections coming and everyone's got an opinion, and you see, the infrastructure of the country, part of it's falling apart, and, the taxes are high or whatever. There's a million things. Wars are going on, and there's problems, and these are opportunities that can be fixed, and they can get you worked up. But also there's great things going on where there's a shitload of abundance and opportunity, and there is tremendous wealth, and there's tremendous just access to information, and we live in a free society, and there's roads, and there's healthcare, and there's rule of law, right? And you have the opportunity to elevate your class and your status in life economically, and you can learn anything, and you can choose to pretty much try anything if you want. I mean, it's all out there. So it's just whatever you want to focus on. You can focus on the abundance and all the wealth that you have, or you can focus on all the shitty things that are going on out there. You decide. I mean, you think the thought, I think the thought. And I'm not preaching. I'm just telling you for myself. I'm sharing, like, this is what's available to me. And it's important that I remember it, because I don't remember it. And I feel like I'm a uptight asshole, and I don't want to be that. So there you go. Hope that was not too all over the place. That was on my mind. Have a good May 2024. Let's go. Finding your edge. Whatever you want to do with the channel, you do it. But I appreciate, if you got to this far and you're listening, I appreciate it. And please, share, comment, whatever you want to talk about. We can talk about it, and I'll keep rattling on. All right, let's go. Keep holding yourself to a high standard. For more information on commercial real estate investing, go to patriotholdings.com. Thanks for listening to Finding Your Edge.